Hello and welcome to your Aquarius January 2020 reading. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James. For those of you who have just dropped by for the first time, nice to see you. And for those of you, of course, who have subscribed and who come by regularly, thank you. I appreciate your loyalty, and I'm so pleased to know that you enjoy the content of the readings that I provide for you. It's my great pleasure. Hey, listen, this deck which I'm using today, my daughter gave this to me. She found it in a flea market, and what it has interspersed among it are not on all the cards, but on some of the cards and throughout the deck, there are the the Chinese I Ching hexagrams. There are runes, from the Scandinavians, which were very often written on wood. So they have deteriorated over the years, but we've been able to piece together what they actually do mean. And so this will be quite an earthy reading, I think, today. There is also mystical lettering from the Kabbalah and Eastern mysticism, as well as ancient Egyptian and North American Indian mystical depictions in these cards. As I say, not in all of them, but when they come up and have something interesting to say to us, we shall talk about it. But for now, let's get things underway. This is, of course, suitable for you if you have Aquarius as your sun sign, or Aquarius rising, or Aquarius moon. In fact, if you have a lot of planets in the constellation of Aquarius in your natal chart and horoscope, then this will also be suitable for you. I love doing readings for Aquarius. There's the first one that's come out clearly, and that is the Wheel of Fortune. What's down here? There is the Father of Cups in the North. Very good. Wheel of Fortune. See, there are some runes and some Kabbalistic inscriptions on that card, so we'll talk about that in just a second. There's Odin, king of the Vikings gods. What do we have here? The Two of Cups with the best hexagram, I think, that you can get in I Ching. It is beautiful. And I'll talk about that in just 1 second. And what else do we have here? I think it's going to be a great year for you altogether, Aquarius. Are these interesting? These things on the back, don't you think? I just feel like taking that. That is the Ace of Wands in the East. And this is the Two of Wands. Okay, let's get together now. Let's have a look at the artwork on these things and get the reading underway. Okay, let me just get the vibe. Oh, you are kidding. This is just an outstanding spread. I'm going to do the Ace, I'll do the King, I'll do the Wheel of Fortune, I'll do your Two of Wands, and I'll do your card of love. Let's have a look at this thing here. Well, the Lord of the Root of the Power of Fire. First up, here it is. Do you know the people who are going to be important to you at this time, I think, may well be Leo, maybe a Cancer, maybe a Virgo, or someone with their ascendants here. This is a time really for you when there is a breakthrough moment, I think, that you'll have, and you'll have insight and feel inspired and motivated to move your life forward. A big opportunity is going up for you. You have that possibility because aces are all about possibility. And when it comes to the question of possibility and this thing, and in this spread for you this month, it's saying this: there is nothing you cannot be, there is nothing you cannot do, there is nothing you cannot have. You are the most magnificent, the most remarkable, the most splendid being God has ever created. For who could reject such a wondrous magnificence? But you don't know who you are, and you think you are a great deal less. You are your own rule maker, and you are the only one who can assess how you are doing. All you see in the world is your idea about it. Life will take off for you when you choose for it to. An idea will become a thought. A thought becomes a word, and say it out loud because words have power and reverberate throughout all of eternity. And a word becomes an action. And if you are going to do it, start. Go all the way. Do it. Do it. Seize in the opportunity coming towards you. Rejoice in it. And let no power on earth take it from you. A particularly auspicious card for you. Tremendous, tremendous energy coming into this new year. Now I'm going to go to Odin, because Odin introduces the question of runes, which are symbols which have things to say, and I'm going to therefore go to this Father of Cups in the North. Now, let me just put this where it's sensible. There, that's sensible. Odin. Well, Odin was the king of the gods in Norse mythology. That is, of the Vikings. He was the Viking king of the gods. And here we see him, as legend had it, hanging upside down from the Tree of Life. Now, in the Norse religion, the Tree of Life contained the 9 worlds from which were to be found all the places of existence that one could be in. 9 worlds, not just one, 9 of them. And at the base of the tree, it was said, there was a well, the Well of Erd. And it was within the Well of Erd that women, some supernatural women, lived. And the supernatural women were known as the Norns, and what their function was to weave the fates of women and men and of the gods themselves. So in a very real sense, the Norns were the most powerful beings in the cosmos. And the Norns had access to the runes. And I'll just give you an example of one. There's one there, and we'll come to that in a second. Now, you probably know runes. They're things that are often written on wood, or they're symbols written on wood, sometimes stone. Now, what Odin did was Odin sought knowledge. Now, he's depicted with being one-eyed. Odin has one eye because Odin wanted and always sought wisdom. And there was another well, although it was probably also the Well of Erd, which was guarded by a being who said, "You must give me something of value in order that you can drink from this well in order to gain wisdom." And so Odin gouged out his eye and threw it into the well. And from there on, the hollowed out horn of a cow was given to Odin and he could drink. But in this occasion, Odin said in order to get the knowledge from the Well of Erd of what the runes were and what they meant, he hung upside down for 9 days and 9 nights, having first pierced himself with a spear, neither eating or drinking, and looked into the well, when at last the runes began to become perceptible to him. Not just the symbols, which are symbols for human sounds, as all our alphabets are, but also the knowledge of what they meant, the sacred knowledge, the window into cosmic and divine knowledge that could only be held and obtained from behind the 3 veils of negative existence. And so, having obtained those runes, Odin then made them available to men, and magicians used to use runes to tell people what was going to happen in their lives, and in fact magicians do still today tell people what is going to happen to them. But here we have a depiction of a card which for me really is the Lord of Waves and Water, the King of the Hosts of the Sea. He's in the suit of cups. And I've got to say, Aquarius is around here. You might also have a Pisces or someone with a Pisces rising that's available here. You might find that you come across somebody with commitment issues, somebody who is amiable but passive and attracted to excitement, someone who has an unsustainable enthusiasm. You might find that you come across or have a relationship with someone who is sensitive but nevertheless shallow, if I can put it that way. Because that person, and court cards of course can be either male and female, this person tends to mismanage their affairs, and without luck, their career is an unbroken record of failure. And often the mental civil wars going on inside their head lead to substance abuse and sometimes even to mental illness. It's got to be said. It's got to be said. But the person can bring about inner contentment. I think you will have a great deal of inner contentment and great happiness during this period, and is going to radiate out from you to enrich those around you. This can be either emotionally, possibly even spiritually. I think it's also the case, though, that this person can sometimes be uncertain of themselves and feel that they can't get what they love, what they want in love and relationships. And so you mustn't have that doubt about yourself that you can't get what you want in love and relationships. I mean, that message from this card was very direct, I think, wasn't it? And there are other cards coming around here which show great movement forward and great ability to get things done and get what you want. So if you have periods of self-doubt during this month, just push them away, because they're not meant to be there. That little bit of lack of self-esteem sometimes that you might feel, dispose of it. That self-doubt, I think, sometimes that you might feel, dispose of it, because this is saying that this is not you, this is not who you are meant to be, and this is not how you are supposed to be acting in this time. I think what we can see here is that this person that you come across, and that you may know, can at best be loving and generous, supportive and tender. And finally, they can be capable of quite high spiritual achievement, I think. Now, I'll say this, and the gay and lesbian communities, please make the necessary adjustment. But this person loves the opposite sex, and the opposite sex loves them. Well, the opposite sex loves you, I think, doesn't it? Yeah. This person, though, I think this is a person who can be ruled by emotions, and there may be a tendency for you to sometimes let emotion cloud your judgment. That's normally not the case with you. Just be aware of it so you can detach from it and understand what it is that's going on. This person can sometimes, that I think, can be very insecure and need constant reassurances. And the person that you come across, I think, you may be knowing this person, could be someone who is unfaithful, fickle, shallow, highly emotional, I'd say, and possibly emotionally unreliable. Now, having introduced the rune, let's have a look at this card here, because this is both a rune on it, and it also has a mystical, Kabbalistic letter. This is, of course, the Wheel of Fortune. Let's get the card in. There it is. Now let me see, here is this rune. Now let's just make sure that you can make it out there. Unfortunately, it's got a dark background to it. But this rune here is called Jera. Jera is the runic symbol of karma. What you put into your world will eventually come back to you. This is the rune of the harvest. Now remember, these things originated in Viking society. So it's the rune of the harvest, and it indicates a time of reaping the rewards and efforts that you have expended. I think that there's the possibility of the repayment of favors, maybe even money, will come now. And for me, this rune sometimes has something to do with legal issues sometimes, if you're in them. It doesn't mean to say they're going to come upon you, but what it does talk about for me, where there are legal issues around, where there are financial issues going around, it can sometimes result in delays. It can sometimes refer to delays. Now, this can also relate to the home, things that you may be doing, delays, or deciding maybe to be maybe renovating or doing things around your home, or moving, or trying to find somewhere. There can be some delays associated with this. But I think that generally what we can say here is that this is something which is your good karma being repaid to you. Now, what we're going to look here then is at this other thing, which is this letter here. Now, this letter is in the ancient biblical Hebrew, the 11th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, called Kaf. Now, Kaf means literally the cupped hand, the cupped palm of the hand. I'll pull out now so we can see it. Yeah, so it literally means like that, or the outstretched palm, ready to receive, for you to receive. It is, of course, also the shape of all containers. A bowl, a cup, a jar is based on that basic curved shape, isn't it? And this letter represents the idea of a container. It also represents form. A house is a form that contains the goings-on of the people inside it. A body is a form which contains the life and energy of the person. The forms of the physical world are where the spiritual essence of life is able to manifest. And this letter, I think, in this reading also teaches you to shape yourself, to bend your ego and shape your character. The calf is what gives form to matter. It contains all the possibilities of containing, of building and forming all existence. It's a tremendously beneficial association with this card of the Wheel of Fortune. It tells you, I think, it's the letter of formation, of making things happen. I think this letter calf also teaches you to bend and govern your tendencies and to shape your character. It teaches you humility, that you must bend your ego, and it teaches you molding, sorting, comparing things between each other. Now, you've got to bend the matter that we have around us to the spirit, and the spirit to matter, constantly connecting the thought of wisdom with the action and the doing of it. It's not enough to have a thought to do good. You must find a way to manifest it in reality. And I think this is also asking you to look inside and say, what is it that you contain? Do you contain worries and negative thoughts, or do we contain what you most aspire to in order to make it a reality? And this card straight up front, as you recall, told you that you can be and do whatever you set your mind to do, and then go on with it. Now, are there any other things that we can say about this card here for you? Let's just have a look at it in connection with these other cards. Well, I think that this is actually talking really about the changes in fortune that are coming through to you, destiny, and that karma that this letter was talking about is definitely underway for you. Of course, the planet associated with it is Jupiter, which is all about good fortune. It's about good luck. It's about expansion. And I think that what we can say is really that you should be ready to act upon any unexpected opportunities. This represents, I think, maybe an unexpected change in your life, which is going to be favorable, but which may not necessarily seem that way at first. Change is about to happen. Now, you may need to alter your present course or change things around to set the stage for the right outcomes that you want in your life. But don't struggle against the course of life. Because if you struggle against the wheel,
You can sometimes be crushed beneath it, but if you stay in the center, in the sweet spot, there everything will be made available to you, and you will turn with what the gods have in store. Now I'm going to go here first because this is showing us something about the I Ching. Where are we? Hang on, let's have a look at you. Are you in focus? Yeah. Just before I talk about the I Ching, I'm going to just make a comment about what I see the astrology of the card. For me, it is Mars ruling the first decan of Aries. You know that 21st to the 30th of March? Well, this is good because I have Mars in Aries here, and Mars in ordinary astrology is in its own sign. So it's particularly favorable, I think, here, and it's very close to the Ace. Now, of course, you had the Ace of Wands here, and you're having that great energy being reinforced upon you again. This is the Lord of Dominion. It may be something with you, maybe perhaps not being satisfied with your lot and wanting to set about going to, I suppose to sort of, I'll bring it in closer when we get to the I Ching, about wanting to get things more. Now here we have a couple of wands. We know they look like spears or swords, but they're wands because we can see the flames coming off them. And this is this crossed set of wands like this really talks about power, doesn't it? And it talks about pacification, peace and power. This looks like it could well be the ruin of an old church and some steps coming up to it. Well, they are the steps, I imagine, of the spiritual journey. The 2 is a good number here. I won't go into the numerology now for time because I'm going to deal with the I Ching. But first of all, looking at that great astrology, Mars in Aries, I think that you're going to be overcome by courage, by boldness, probably even a degree of fierceness, and dare I say it, shamelessness. Yes, shamelessness. I think you'll be generous and proud. But I wouldn't ordinarily say this about you, but this is coming up to me, is that there could be something going on which elicits within you something of a sense of revenge, the desire for revenge, and a real determination to go and set it about. Now, I make no comment about that. I just see what I see. But this suggests that your will is beginning to rebel against its predisposed boundaries, come hell or high water, and I think you will be using your willpower to break through a stagnant situation and remove long-standing blocks. This really is saying to you it's a time to act, and to act on your instinct and what you believe is right without overthinking the situation. Now, you, of course, have a brain the size of a planet, and you can sometimes overthink things. Have you ever encountered that situation? Well, this is saying don't overthink things. Just do what you really feel within you is right. And there really is a sense here also of dynamic leadership abilities building up, and I think that you will be taking on leadership positions, and I think that people are going to see you as being a natural leader in this time. Now let's see what this I Ching has to say about the situation, shall we? Now the I Ching is probably the oldest form of divination that we have a record of. Of course, people have been around for hundreds of thousands of years, and so there would have been magic undertaken before then. The I Ching is generally hexagram, meaning 6 lines, which can be unbroken or broken, and how they fit with one another, the unbrokens and the brokens, depends on what the I Ching has to say. Now, the unbroken lines, like this one here, they are yang, which is masculine. So there's a yang, and a yang, 3 masculine. And here we have 2 broken lines. Broken lines are yin, and they are the feminine principle. And then we have another masculine yang on top. So looking at that hexagram together there, what we have is the hexagram which is called Ta Chu. And it actually means to amplify or to make greater. Now, we are told not to cross the bridge until we come to it, aren't we? But I say that this world is owned by those who crossed bridges in their imaginations far ahead of the crowd. And this is something that should apply to you during this period. The true power of this is saying that true power need not be demonstrated, as creative energy is restrained beneath what the Chinese would call the mountain of keeping still. Ta-Chu focuses really on the power of silence and stillness. While others are running around demonstrating their power, one who is strong has no need to prove anything. Controlled power has dignity as its hidden influence, because a will, under the sheer steadiness of a mountain, allows it to become incredibly powerful. There is also a need for timing, getting the right timing for things, I think. Yeah. Since this feeling, this hexagram of controlled power, since it follows, well, for me, it follows innocence, all that is learned from patience and non-action is now ready to be harnessed creatively. When the will is in the service of acceptance and the good of all of this, deliberate intent is unstoppable. The message you deliver is amplified because your inner truth radiates out as an embodiment of the spirit, or as the Chinese would say, the Tao within you, combining holding firm, holding steady, and holding, if you like, to heaven's way and nurturing other. This really is the hexagram of the true sage. When water meets a dam, it continues to rise in power until it overwhelms whatever blocked its flow. If you renew your willingness to marry your Tao, your spiritual interior, daily, you become a reservoir for enormous creative expression that benefits all. You can draw on that power that need not be demonstrated, but is just so. Its simplicity makes everything possible. Well, let's finish with this card here, which is the Two of Cups. Now, really, you don't get a better card than this. This is Venus in Cancer. Venus, the planet of love and beauty, relationship, also of money in Cancer, which is the most receptive of the signs and is to do with nurturing and looking after things. So you have a great degree of ability to create love and relationships here. Here we have a peacock, which, and I'm looking at the Eastern symbolism here. Now, in the West, it's sometimes referred to vanity, but I don't see that here. I actually see this as being spiritual attainment, and also see it as being referring to love and to beauty and spiritual attainment. The two cups here, of course, represent two people locked together in a loving relationship. Here's this I Ching again. Now, in this case, you might said before how we had like broken and unbroken lines. Well, these are all unbroken. These are all yangs. And this is Qian, the creative. The action here is to initiate, right? So the creative, Qian, embodies the active principle in the universe and represents initiating action. Now, the lines in that hexagram, I'll pull out here so you can see, the lines in that hexagram refer to the dragon, which in China is honored as a benevolent and powerful creature. When the energy of empowerment remains dormant in your psyche, you can give your power away. You can operate with the undermining or self-gratifying or fearful behavior of the ego. Now, this suppressed energy funds the shadow in dreams, a great source of our original power. We therefore project and encounter it in others until we can own it and become fully empowered. This is talking about an opportunity for expansion, and authentic empowerment emerges, which requires assertiveness and persistence. Now, if you feel held back or victimized, remove any shackles, because they are merely self-limiting beliefs. Initiative is required to succeed, although it's important to move in sync with the time and respond with openness. I think what we can say here is that there is great potential waiting upon you, waiting really there for you to tap upon it. This is talking about new love, creation, the improvement of existing relationships, the development of new relationships, a friendship which can turn into a love. It can talk about the building of relationships within a family, outside of family and business. It's very good for sales, this, I have to say, and for people in education or people in public health care. Really one of the best cards to have in the pack. Love. Love is going to be surrounding you. Love and power all around you this month. Fantastic. That's the way it is for you this month.
Well, there you go. January 2020, I have to say this, that you were absolutely fantastic during that reading, and I loved doing it for you. I think this is going to be a great year for you, and have a fantastic January. And all I have to say is this, and remember always that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, bye for now.